in the communications between Joel Greenberg and Roger Stone, Greenberg is very confident of a few different things. And maybe we can bring up this communication, so because of what I requested, you still won't be able to see it, but at least I'll have a graphic. So he says Matt Gaetz, and he calls him MG. So bear that in mind, it's Matt Gaetz, not Marjorie Greene, who has her own things in her background. Look it up, I'm not gonna cover it. So he absolutely has to know that the sex charge they hit me with would be what they hit him with. All he has to do is explain to POTUS the situation and his exposure, and it would be very easy to do. He says one conversation with POTUS and can get this done and it all goes away. But think about that. It's simultaneously a very accurate read. Well, it turns out maybe not, but I think an understandable read of what Trump would do for a guy, Matt Gaetz, that he labels as like his son. But which son? That would have been a good question. They think, oh no, the president will totally give us a pardon after we paid for a bunch of sex and slept with a 17-year-old. That is something the president should do and will do. Like, that sucks. That's the movement you're a part of, that you think that, no, I should totally get away with all of this stuff. And that's what the power of the presidency is for. They've been given this great pardon power to protect two-bit douches who sleep with 17-year-olds and try to get away with it. Like, I don't know, just the whole thing. And then he ropes in Roger Stone, a guy who he thinks, oh no, it's totally reasonable that I would pay you $250,000 in Bitcoin. That's how pardons should be handed out. This is the sleaziest, most corrupt thing ever.
I'll wait for you to get to season 4 of The Wire to spoil that stuff. But yeah, that they just think that's how it works. But the truth is, this is not related to The Wire, so don't try to read into this. The truth is, Trump was an unprecedented kind of person to be in the White House for all anyone knew, for all Trump knew, that's how it works. He got rich off the office anyway. His family got rich off the office anyway. They drove people to go stay in their hotels, to sign away new patent rights. That's what they were doing. That's what it's all about. Now, that's not to say that politicians didn't do that kind of stuff. Corruption before, of course they did. But Trump was an unprecedented type of person. Like, maybe if Kennedy's dad got to be president, it would have been that way. But because he was an actual gangster, but really, usually it's 1 or 2 generations removed before they clean it up and put a suit on it so it can live in the White House. But I will say this about all of it. People who are rooting for Matt Gaetz through all this, being like, so what? I also want to have sex parties. It should be legal to have sex parties and sleep with whoever I want. And she was lying about her age. She was 17, but she was really 19, or she said she was 19 or 18. But that would be fine theoretically, I guess, in a way I could at least wrap my mind around it. If people like Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, and Roger Stone were trying to get that kind of life for you,
for everyone,
like if whatever your ideal was, if they were trying to in any way pass that lifestyle on to anyone but themselves, I could at least understand the through line of your logic. But in this, you're just like, it's all become a movie, and it's all become escapism really at that point, and not related to what politicians should be able to deliver to you as a voter, which is a better life. These guys are just taking your tax money and spending it on tuition for cute nickname 17-year-old boo, as well as rent money, which is prostitution, really.
Yeah, which again, I mean, I don't want to speak fully for you, but talking about reforming that is perfectly fine. That's not what he's doing at all. And it's easy to get this, I think, a perfectly fair impression of Matt Gaetz, who believes that his obligation to his constituents is to do a couple of hits on Sean Hannity and then fly to some island and pay a 17-year-old for sex. And that is the extent of his obligation in regards to our democracy. But really fast, because you mentioned the fact that according to Greenberg, she had lied about her age, which is potentially an important part of this story. So I want to get to the details of that, because I want to evaluate who's bad and how bad are they. So for instance, I talked about how bad it is that they could all think that it's totally cool to pay for pardons and that Trump would do this. Notably, Trump did not pardon them. So Trump is one of the worst people in the world, but this was apparently too much for Trump, or at least for the gatekeepers to Trump's pardon. So
the gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers. So, and Gaetz apparently didn't help Greenberg, and Greenberg was kind of shocked by this, although he's mostly shocked because it seemed self-destructive because Gaetz himself would go down for the same things. But anyway, so that's potentially a point to the good. So then in terms of the girl, in those letters, Greenberg detailed his relationship with Gaetz. He confessed to paying young women for sex, and he claimed that he, Gaetz, and others had sex with a minor they believed to be 19 at the time. Greenberg said he learned she was underage on September 4th, 2017 from an anonymous tip and quickly contacted Gaetz. So here's the interesting thing about that. So supposedly they were angry about this and they cut off contact with that girl until she turned 18. So they felt so bad about it that they waited a few months and then started having sex with her again. I don't know, that just seems weird. Like that doesn't
sounds
seem
like a true love story, John.
Yeah, there's something old school romantic about it. And again, this is coming from Greenberg, but bear in mind, like we can evaluate how trustworthy we think Greenberg is, and there's a lot of reason to believe that you shouldn't believe literally anything he says. That said, this isn't just information he's giving to the DOJ to save himself while throwing Gaetz under the bus. This is information he was going to give to the president to protect himself and potentially Matt Gaetz. So we could come up with an explanation for why he would lie in this. Maybe, like maybe he lied about thinking that she was 19, I don't know. But it's not the same sort of situation as when you are trying to buy your freedom basically from the DOJ, I think. I don't know.
Well, listen, you can find a reason why he'd lie. You could find a reason why this would be how stupid he is, but I can't find a reason to think that this absolves anyone of anything. Like,
or should. Yeah.
Like this, Matt Gaetz is a congressperson. We trust Matt Gaetz with a lot of specifics of our lives. Or at least his constituents do. Should be able to trust with a lot of specifics, a lot of vetting. He's writing laws that will affect literally every American, or at least signing off on laws that will, affect literally every American. So he's got to be pretty detail oriented. Fact, you should be detail oriented about the age of the person you're having sex with, especially if your jam is teens. Like. And even if she is 18 and he's 38, like I'm a year older than that. I don't want to do this to an 18-year-old.
That's kind of you. Okay, there's a lot of bad people in this country, and some of them are on this call. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.